welcome to the Design-Based Learning Podcast.
Hi, I'm Mike.
I'm Henry.
And it's another, episode 10?
Episode 10.
Number 10.
I think it is the last episode of the year.
You're right.
Of
it is the last episode of the year.
So we better make it a really good
I
one.
know.
So
in
that
a few hours is going to be 2022.
Yeah, and we hope that this podcast can give you some inspiration to take on to your next year. So that your teaching skills can be elevated and got some fresh energy.
We have to make sure the last one is a bang. Okay. And, again, we're having coffee this morning. Now what's going on?
Very interesting this time.
Okay.
So a teacher came up to me and he said, I try to work in that project group with the kids and trying to facilitate conversations in there. And what students' feedback was they're not given like really good answers. They just like, when I ask them a question, they say something.
So they're working in a discussion group and nothing's happening.
Nothing is really happening. And then they're giving short, quick answers and no one is like really elaborating on their ideas. So when that person says something, and that's it. Like no one like following up. The discussion wasn't really flowing.
So the teacher sat in the group, right? What happened?
And so basically, he doesn't know how to facilitate in this situation. He doesn't know how to help students to elaborate more, and help them to have a more meaningful discussion in there.
Okay. So what is the idea? How to keep the discussion going? How to make sure there's collaboration between students?
So basically here it's all about the facilitation skills, right? Which is the most important is listening, right? So how do you use your listening skills to help students to elaborate more on their ideas?
Listening sounds one way. I'm listening. How does that become speaking?
So that's why this podcast is going to be a good one, because we're going to be turning that listening technique into a way that students can elaborate and explain more and have more meaningful discussion.
Okay. So how does it go?
So it's called active listening.
All right.
And there are actually some of the skills you can use to elevate your active listening skills so that the students know that you're listening to them and you're also helping them to expand on their ideas, elaborate, and try to think in different perspective. And we're going to be showing you 4 different techniques to do that today. All right. So first one.
What's that?
Posture.
Posture.
All right. So very important during working in project groups, when you sit down with them, do not lean back and fold your arms and try to like listen like a boss, that sort of thing, because that's when students feel like you are just listening to my idea, but you're not trying to contribute or not trying to help me. Right? You don't really care, that sort of thing.
Right.
But what you can do is to just get into the group, right? Lean forward. All right, and trying to open your arms and trying to use your body language to invite students to speak. Okay. And that's one way to kind of capture that.
Okay. So one is that posture.
Posture is important to show you're listening to them. And also, you can put your ears slightly closer
to whoever's speaking.
Whoever's speaking, yeah. So making sure they know that you are listening to them. All right. So that's one way.
So the next one would be, what would you say? I would say repeat what they've said.
Yeah.
But paraphrase it. Don't repeat exactly what they said. Because
how does it work?
For example, somebody says the project is about beach cleanup, for example, and then somebody said, and somebody says, beach cleanup is good because there's a lot of rubbish on the beach.
Yeah.
And then,
So as teacher at this time,
it means you go, so when you went to the beach, you saw a lot of rubbish on the beach.
How did you feel when you see a lot of rubbish?
Exactly. Then you ask a question. How did you feel about it?
Yeah. So basically, you can just repeat what the student is saying, and trying to ask one question about it, and it could be ideas as well. So for example, I heard that you want an idea to clean up the beach. For example, what made you come up with this idea? How did you feel if the beach is completely cleaned?
Yes.
Now you are helping students to elaborate, but also students know that you are listening to their ideas because you repeated what the student have said.
So that's a good idea. So what's next after
that? Third technique is called yes and technique.
Yes and. What do you mean yes and?
So as facilitators, we're not really meant to give students the idea directly, but I know that time is very tight in a lesson, that sometimes you might want to give them some advice or give them to have a multi-angle to look at their ideas, for example. So what you can use is this yes and mindset. So making students understand that you are listening to the ideas, but also you're trying to help them to build on the idea to make it even better. So for example, The beach one.
Back to the beach?
Back to the beach one. So the students come up with the beach idea saying, I want to go to the beach and clean up on the beach. Yeah. And the teacher might have some ideas and say like, yes, and you can also think about bringing your family to the beach and do it as a family event. Yeah. All right. So now teacher can put the bit of perspective in there and let students think like, oh yeah, my idea could be better.
Yeah.
Like this.
Or the teacher could do it, or he can ask the other group members. Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Yes. And what do you think? What else could you add to the?
Yes.
idea?
And what do you think too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one way that it's very good to provoke a good communication in there, and also is the good vibes as well. When you do yes and in a group, actually when you are actually building up an idea, students will feel like, wow, it's very exciting that my ideas can grow.
So
and,
each one, so if there's a group of 4, it's like yes and yes and yes and yes, and you can have about 4 different ideas that they can build on after that.
Yeah.
Right?
So using the yes and tips can really help you to elaborate and help students to build on their ideas even better.
So yes, one more. So after 4 kids start talking, you get a more dynamic discussion going, and so I'm sure the kids will feel much more energized and positive, and probably will want to continue the discussion towards the goal that they're trying to accomplish.
Because you have to change the vibes in there. Yeah. So before you get into the group, it might be dead.
Yeah.
But once you do that yes and mindset, trying to lift up the team spirit, that's when the team can take on and keep going at the same time too.
What else can we do? Yes, and what more?
So lastly is questioning technique.
Okay.
So it is the golden way to be an active listener, just by asking questions. I know that sometimes teachers might not understand what kids are saying, or they try to say things in a way that it doesn't make any sense. But you're trying to not defeat that student, but what can you do in that way? So you can just simply ask some questions like, why did you think of this?
What do you think?
What do you think of this?
Or how do you feel about this?
How do you feel about this?
It looks like it's a good idea for you. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, and what do you think? How do you feel? And basically, these 2 questions are golden questions to help students to understand why they're trying to say this thing they're trying to say and help them elaborate on.
I got it. Yeah.
And
it's much more powerful.
And often that one technique is why. Just ask them why. It's already helping them to elaborate and help them understand why they're trying to say that.
Yeah, but you can't stop at the why, right? You have to give a bit of empathy. Right? Why do you feel that this is going to work? Or why?
So always start with the why,
Yeah.
and it will help you to keep the conversation going. And also you can facilitate with other kids as well.
That's right.
So why did you think this person think of this way?
That's right.
All right. So now you are kind of like diverting that conversation going on.
He just said this. How do you feel about what he just said?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And try to have some sort of a debate or some sort of thing that can kind of look in different perspective and have more meaningful conversations in there.
Right.
So today we actually wrapped up a very good topic.
I know.
For 2021 on active listening.
Yes.
And we hope that this technique can be helpful for your...
We hope you're listening to us actively.
Yeah, that's why you lean forward, right?
Okay.
So that's it for our 2021 DBL podcast.
10 episodes in 2021, more to come in 2022.
Yeah, catch up every Friday, and please subscribe, like, and share.
And almost a Happy New Year, but a Happy New Year.
But a Happy New Year to you too. All right, thank you very much, everyone. See you next year.
Bye-bye.
Bye.